Hey, it's Clay at claycharter.com. This will be my top 10 stocks as we head into Monday, April 25th. This will be a technical analysis breakdown. So if you are somebody that uses charts within your trading, or maybe you're just interested in learning more about charts and how they can be used as a tool to help make good decisions as a trader, this will be a video for you. Before I get to the watch list, I first want to personally invite you to get signed up for this free live online class that I'm offering next week. So if you're liking what you see as I go through the video and you want to learn more about this tool and how it can be used and how it should be used to help build consistency as a trader, then certainly get signed up for the free class. If you are interested, there's a link down in the description box on YouTube, or if you're watching at my site, there's an area right there on the webpage you can click on. So like I said, if you're liking what you see, certainly get signed up for the free class next week. A couple of quick clarification points before I get to the stocks. First off, this number over here will still be changing as I talk because the market's still open for a little bit of time. So the candlestick here will still be moving. But I like to do these videos when the market is still open because sometimes we can capture some really interesting late day price movement. But the market is close enough to being done for the day where everything I talk about will still be relevant on Monday. And then next, I'll be using the 30-minute time frame. So for you beginners out there, what that means is that each one of these candlesticks here, as they're called, represents 30 minutes worth of time. So stock number one, VLON, and very, very interesting last 30 minutes here as I speak. The price was looking shaky, but all of a sudden started to recover, which now brings about the valid question of, okay, is the pullback, are the sellers finally out, and is this thing getting ready to make another potential move back to the upside? There are no guarantees, but based on the price action here, that it's at least a valid and plausible thought process to have, with the next key level of resistance that I'm very curious about right here at $2.42. So there are no guarantees in the market, but my point here is it plausible? Is it valid to think that if the price comes up and breaks through that level of resistance, that break point right there could create another surge of momentum? Yeah, I think that is a plausible thought process to have, but again, not guaranteed. As far as levels of support are concerned, so for those of you that, let's change that up. For those of you that like to play pullbacks, key area that stands out to me as a potential area of support right down there around $1.95. But all in all, definitely a very crazy last 30 minutes here, and I think a lot of people will be watching it come Monday. Next one, UVXY, and this is I was just going to say a stock, but technically it's an ETF, but it's a way to make money if you think that the markets are going to continue to fall next week. Clearly, the market's had a disastrous day today, and that is why this one is kind of a goofy looking chart in the sense of it essentially just went straight up all day long. So if you are somebody that's saying, yeah, I think things are going to get just even more ugly, then this is one that could still allow you to make money even if the markets are falling down. So the main area of resistance that I think a lot of people will be watching next week, and rightfully so, is going to be right up here around, bring this down here a bit. What is that? $15.60. Now, this is just more of a general area, but what I'm trying to encapsulate here is that for quite a while, as you see, the price has been kind of stuck in this bigger uptrend, or excuse me, not uptrend, but this bigger channel right here. And now it is certainly approaching that general area of the top of the channel, which brings about the more than valid question of, can this actually get a break outside of this range that it's been stuck in for the past several weeks? And like I said, if you're somebody that's thinking that the markets are going to continue to collapse, well, then there's really no question about it. If the markets do continue to collapse, it's only a matter of time before this does get a break to the upside. But there's no doubt about it that after today, I mean, like I said, a very odd looking chart in the sense of, I mean, it just went up and up and up and up and up. So does this continue into next week? We'll have to see. But that's the idea behind a watch list, right? To find unique situations, and this is definitely a chart I would consider pretty unique, and then watch them, and then see if they behave in a way that fits your strategy where you'd want to put together some sort of trade plan around. So again, that's the entire premise of a watch list. Let's find unique situations, and then watch them. So if you find this as unique as I do, then I definitely put this one on the watch list for next week. Next one, CYN, did this analysis previously, and that's where this resistance area came into play. But you can see price finally got a good solid break of that area earlier on in the day, right around there. Came back down, beautiful back test, and then up it went. So on that note of the back test, that's where the first update needs to come into play, and that is just based on a foundational rule in charting, which states when levels of resistance are broken and closed above, you want to see them act as support. So $2.20 now going to be the ideal level of support moving forward. Ideal meaning if you're going to ask, hey Clay, what would make this chart look the absolute best? And yeah, ideally speaking, if the price could stay above $2.20, that would certainly be a great sign of strength. But from the overarching standpoint, and as far as kind of just the broad scope of things, as long as the price does stay above that purple line, that line being the 50-period moving average, keyword being moving. So that line's going to continue to move itself higher and higher. So like I said, as long as the price stays above that line, as the line itself increases higher and higher, then overall the price is fully in the bull's favor. And then as far as areas of resistance are concerned, for this one, going to have to go to the daily time frame. So instead of each one of these representing 30 minutes, each one's now going to represent a day, because we're having to go way back in the chart's history, which is a good problem to have. But we have this resistance area right here, which is now sitting right around $2.85. So $2.85 key level to watch going into next week. But overall, the price dipped on the open and then really came back to life in a very strong way. So let's see if this momentum carries into Monday. Next one, AMC, and did this one previously, and this will mean a little bit more to those of you that watched the video from the past day, which would be Thursday, because I'm recording this on Friday. But for those of you that did, then, and I'm not patting myself on the back here, but I am definitely patting charts on the back. So quick plug, certainly get signed up for that free class next week, because and again, if you don't believe me, I'm not offended. I could be a total stranger to you, but all you got to do is go back in the archive, and you can see that I put that green line into play yesterday, and look at this. Price was all the way up here. Falling. Oh, look, right where it decided to bounce, right off that level of support. Now, are charts perfect? Absolutely not. But are they a valid tool to use? Absolutely. And again, not patting myself on the back here, but definitely patting charts on the back, as that ultimately led to a fantastic pullback and bounce for some traders out there. So pointer being $16.10 remains at key level of support, and it was good to see that the price and the bulls and all the buyers stepped in right around that area. But if this bounce is going to continue, then nothing has changed from the resistance side of things. Still have that 1690-ish area as the initial level of resistance, and the next key level after that, right up there, the purple line, which you now know is the 50-period moving average, which, again, as I noted in yesterday's video, talked about that being an area of resistance, and wouldn't you know it, that's right where it got rejected from this morning. So definitely keep an eye on those couple areas of resistance if this bounce does try to continue. Next one, NFLX. Netflix continues to just get destroyed. But again, it's Netflix. It's such a popular stock. And you take that fact, and then I'm going to get rid of both these and combine it with now this very well-defined trend line right here. So let me be very clear. I assure you, I'm not trying to impress you or imply that this trend line here is some sort of great discovery on my part. I promise you, people around the world have drawn in something very similar. And when a lot of people around the world are watching the same levels, wondering the same thing, call it a self-fulfilling prophecy, call it whatever you want, it can produce some very dynamic price movement. But once again, there are no guarantees. My point here is that it's more than rational to think if this can get up to the level and push up through it, you got to think that there's a chance that Netflix could make a nice run in the upwards direction. Now, does it go up and close the gap? I'm not saying that at all. But from a trading standpoint, would there be enough wiggle room in there to potentially have a nice profitable trade? In my mind, yeah, absolutely. So if you like to play kind of these bottom feeding type setups, again, especially on Netflix, when it's such a popular stock, it's almost one of those situations where even just the slightest bit of good news, or maybe bad news, which isn't as bad as what it was thought, you got to think would cause this thing to snap in the upwards direction. And that's where that trend line can come into play right there and be very helpful. So if you like to play these kind of bottom feeding type plays on very popular stocks, then yeah, I definitely say get Netflix on your watch list. Next one, TWTR Twitter. The drama continues, and a lot of people continue to talk about this one. And what I'm very curious about moving forward is this trend line right here as that main area of resistance, because, again, power of charts. Crazy to think that by using these data points right here, it did a fantastic job of forecasting that area. Generally speaking, forecasting that area of resistance. Right there, nailed it again today. Key area of resistance. So moving forward, that's certainly going to be the main area of resistance, which right now sits right around, let's just call it the $50 mark. So $50 key level of resistance headed into next week. As far as areas of support are concerned, for those that like to play pullbacks, have a couple different areas. First level right there around the $48 mark, and then from the moving averages viewpoint, interesting how you have the purple line and the pink line basically right next to each other. Purple line, once again, 50-period moving average. Pink line, the very famous 200-period moving average. And again, you have those levels basically right on top of one another. So let's just split the difference and call the value $47 on a bit, steeper of a decline. But, in a perfect world for the bulls, the price goes no lower than 48. But if it does, you do still have those moving averages right there. But overall, a very actually strong day for Twitter, given the context of the overall markets getting destroyed today. So actually quite the impressive showing. Next one, PLTR. Done this one several days ago and needed to get things updated. But the main premise here was that, talked about that trend line. And once the price did break down through it, you can see that really unlocked the floodgates there. So I'll just go ahead and delete these lines out as they've all served their purpose. But the main dynamic here that a whole lot of people are going to be watching, and rightfully so, okay, I wanted to make sure I wasn't missing out on anything, is this area of support down here at, what is that? $11.90, which you can see was a low right there, a low right there, and then once again today, for the third time, has held strong. So once again, one of those levels where this is not some sort of great discovery. I assure you a lot of people have noticed it. So self-fulfilling prophecy, whatever you want to call it, you know that there's going to be longs and shorts and everybody in between watching that level and saying, and rightfully so, well, I think it could bounce. Hey, that makes sense. There's going to be other people, the bears, that are saying, well, you know what? I think if that level fails, that could create another, wash to the downside. Again, that is a valid thought process to have. Somebody's going to be right, somebody's going to be wrong. And again, that is always why risk management matters so much. But the point here being is that is going to be a level that a whole lot of people will be watching. And then as far as areas of resistance, if there is any sort of attempted bounce in the upwards direction, right up there around $12.25, going to be a key level. But I think the dynamic that most people are going to be watching and caring about is all about that level of support and whether or not it can continue to hold strong. Next one, NIO, and a disappointing day in the sense of it started off so strong, but like a lot of stocks around the market, just completely rolled back over and essentially went back to lows. But on the good news front, at least it didn't come down here and blast through these lows and then blast through that green line right there as support. So it did come down, but it just stabilized out, which is why I'm now going to, consider this level right here at $17, that new ideal level of support, because that was the lows again from Thursday right there, and then never quite hit it today, but you can see hovered right around it from right there. So like the chart we just talked about on PLTR, and this is why I put them back to back, you're going to have this self-fulfilling prophecy point right here. You're going to have all sorts of people watching it, longs and shorts, wondering, okay, how is the price going to behave around that level? And somebody's going to be right, somebody's going to be wrong. And that's why, say it with me, risk management matters. But keep an eye on 17, very, very key level. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that because in my mind now, the main level of resistance that most people I think will be watching is that purple line, which you now know is that 50-period moving average. But yes, like PLTR, you now have a level right there at $17 here on NIO that everybody will be keeping an eye on. Next one, AMD, and the bleeding just continues. Talked about this being a level of support here at 89, but with the price now breaking down below it and closing below it, the basic rule and chart states that this would now be considered an area of resistance. So 89 is going to be the initial level. I'll go ahead and do some house cleaning, just get rid of that level. And then if the price can push up through there, then yes, the next key level will be that 50-period moving average right there. And then as far as levels of support are concerned, going to have to go back to the daily time frame here because it has been a long time since the price went down this low. But that next key level sits down here right around the $84 mark, which I talked about in yesterday's video. So 84 now definitely seems to be in play. Does the price actually fall down and around that area? Only time will tell, but with the break of that initial level that I talked about first of support, 84 has certainly become, of course, not a guaranteed possibility, but a very real possibility of potentially happening. Next one, TSLA, Tesla. And all things considered, like Twitter, I would call Tesla a pretty strong, stock today. Because, by no means did it explode or anything like that. But, it didn't get pummeled like a lot of these other stocks. So, overall, Tesla, I would say, did a very impressive job, again, given the circumstances of the general context. And everything that I talked about in Thursday's video still stands from a support standpoint. Still have that 991-ish area. And then the big level down there right around 973. But what I'm going to map out here, because what I'm very curious about, and I always try to trade this one every day, traded it today. But right here, and I'm going to just change that up, just stand out, that in the very near term, that 1,002 mark right there seems to be a very, very interesting level. So really, those will be the three main levels that I'm going to be focused on. 1002, and if that falls, then, again, no guarantees, but I don't see why it wouldn't go down and at least retest that 990-ish area. So those would be the main levels of support. And then as far as areas of resistance, yeah, you guessed it, that 50-period moving average. But check it out, the power of charts. Once, twice, three times, price tried to make bounces throughout the course of the afternoon, and that 50-period moving average rejected it every single time. If the price can get up through there, the next key level of resistance would be the pink line, the 200-period moving average, right now valued at 1034. But overall, solid day for Tesla, all things considered. But yeah, still quite a bit of question marks moving into Monday. But hey, as traders, that's what we like. We like to see question marks, and we like to watch and see what happens with those, and then structure trade plans around them. So that wraps up the top 10. Again, if you like what you saw here and you want to learn more about this tool, how it should be used, how it can be used to help build consistency as a trader, then get signed up for the class next week. It'll be Thursday, April 28th at 7 p.m. Eastern time. So I hope to see you there. As far as these top 10 videos are concerned, if you enjoy this format, if you would like for me to continue to put in the time and effort to create this sort of content, then please help me out by doing two easy things. Hit the like button, leave a simple comment, even if it's saying hi, a smiley face emoji. Tell me what you're looking at for next week. But those two things communicate to me that you enjoy. And as long as I know people are enjoying, I will continue to put this content out. So thank you for hanging out. Hopefully you close out the week strong. And again, definitely get signed up for that free class next week, and hopefully I'll see you there.